This may be the first time you're hearing this, but Blabs loves Harry Potter.
What a
It's
revelation!
it's kind of weird.
I'm sorry you don't like any fandoms, Craig.
With that said, there was big drama in the Harry Potter world, which
Oh, well, yeah.
Blabs did a full reaction to this
Boy, did
interview.
I.
A full 2 hour reaction.
No. 2 hours and 38 minutes interview.
Okay, so 2 hours and 38 minutes. You watch this interview. This was Emma Watson. She was interviewed. And the long and short of it was that she was like, well, she was okay. J.K. Rowling. Give us the rundown on this, and then the rolling smackdown.
She said like the most word salad corporate bullshit. She and Jay Shetty, if you ever watch Jay Shetty, he says a whole lot of nothing and thinks that he's so eloquent and amazing and philosophical. And the two of these two were just shitting on each other the entire time. Like Disper said it best. It was like watching a safari. These two people out in the wildlife, absolutely insane. We had to watch on 1.5x speed. It was so bad. And at one point we tried even like a little bit more and we just couldn't do it because it was too fast. But yeah, but finally towards the end, she starts talking about J.K. Rowling. And she says the most corporate, she's trying to save her ass at this point because it's been 5 years. She basically shat all over J.K. Rowling, right? 5 years ago, she basically said, oh, I'm here for all the witches. Trans rights are human rights. Trans women are women, blah, 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 blah. And she like shat all over J.K. Rowling, never defended her with the rape threats and all this other stuff that she was going on behind the scenes. And Emma knew this, by the way, and Emma has J.K. Rowling's phone number and vice versa. Never once contacted as a friend or anything saying, hey, are you okay? None of that ever happened, right? Really, really nice loyalty right there. Anyway, she gets to the trans bit, and she's like, oh, I still love Joe. I love her, but I can still feel the same way I feel about this and so and so. And she's trying to make it so politically correct that it's just nothing. She basically insults J.K. Rowling, saying, oh, I still love her and blah, blah, blah. If you loved someone, you wouldn't throw them under the bus. You wouldn't like leave them out to bleed for the world to harass or rape threats, death threats, harassing the family. It was literally nothing to do with J.K. Rowling whatsoever. None of that would have happened. But no, Emma Watson, but then she makes herself like a victim somehow. Like it's all about her. This entire 2 hour and 40-minute video was all about her, how amazing she is. Woe is me. She cries in the interview, guys. She literally cries. And I'm like, we need Bully Maguire. And somehow there was a Bully Maguire in my chat going, so yeah, perfect timing. But anyway.
Whoa. Relax. Calm down.
Sorry.
What the fuck is Bully Maguire? What are you talking about? Like you're saying a bunch of words I have no idea. Okay,
how does he not know who Bully Maguire is? How? Then he makes fun of me for liking fandoms. He doesn't know who the fuck Bully Maguire is.
Let's just back up real quick. You're going over here. Let's just back it up. But the point is that she kind of is backtracking now after being having a hard stance.
She's trying to cover her own ass because it's not like the best thing in the world to go and harass a woman over her beliefs that women are women. Shockingly, I know in 2025 we've progressed a little bit from 2020. You're allowed to say these things now without being like canceled, harassed, everything. So
okay. Yeah. Which leads us to the J.K. Rowling tweet, which has like 60 million views. And this is seen as like a ridiculous smackdown.
Yes. It blew up. I'll have to like, if you want me to read it, let me pull it up because like I can't read that screen. But she roasted Emma, and the thing was she wasn't going to do this roasting, this massive essay, had Emma Watson not brought her up in that interview, had Emma Watson not said what she said in that interview, because it was pretty bad, and Emma deserves everything that comes for her now after all this, and especially because we never really heard J.K. Rowling's side about all this stuff going on behind the scenes, right? So do you need me to read this essay? Because like it's
yeah, well, I think, look, this is a massive smackdown in the best way possible. And what she's more or less saying is, nah, I'm not playing that shit. But I'll let you read it. I think it's important to be read. Because
there's a lot of context in here that was never brought to, like, the public.
In a British accent, please. Thank you.
That I cannot do. So she says, I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. However, Emma and Dan, she's referring to Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, in particular, have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our form of professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continued to assume the role of de facto spokesperson for the world I created.
Hold on real quick. And I think that's actually something to point out, is that they were actors when they were children,
Yes.
and then they eventually grew up. But people still look at them as like spokesperson for this thing that they just read words off a piece of paper that she wrote, that she created. But people go to them, and ultimately, she's the ultimate spokesperson because everything came from her brain.
Yes, she is the owner. Even now, she's still the owner of the IP with Warner Brothers. It's all hers. So yeah, people think that Emma and Dan are the all end all of what's going on in the world, and it's not true. They just played a character.
Mm-hmm.
So she continues and says, when you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who need to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma, specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. So some context here for that. The witch trials is a podcast that she did around 2023. Now, I listened to I think it's 6 episodes. I listened to 5 of them. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but they're pretty good and pretty insightful on why she thinks the way she does. So context again. She was abused by her ex-husband. He used to beat her up. He was controlling. She couldn't even copy the Harry Potter manuscripts. She couldn't take it all to work to copy it because he would know. So she would sneak in pages at a time every day. Yeah.
When you say she, you mean Emma Watson?
No, J.K. Rowling's ex-husband, her
Okay.
first husband that she divorced, had a baby with and everything, used to beat her up. And in the podcast, she admits that she was actually left in the streets bloody and everything. He beat her up and threw her out of the house at one point, basically. Okay. So a super abusive ex-husband, to the point I think she got a restraining order on him when she became famous because she was so afraid for her and her daughter's safety, right? This is a 1-year-old baby. So that's why she thinks the way she does, and she wants safe spaces because she's actually lived these things, right? So, and then to, more context here, she's literally saying, I don't want Emma Watson being involved in this because I don't want to drag her through the mud, which is not what Emma Watson did to J.K. Rowling. You see how one's a piece of shit and one's trying to still be safety and loyalty, even though, one's still a piece of shit. I digress. Let's go on. Okay. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, which is the video down below. And in truth, that was a turning point for me, but it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, I'm sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number. Can you imagine? Just here, dude, send this note off to someone else for me. Thanks. Give it to Joe.
Right.
What a piece of shit. Anyway. This was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness, which is basically, oh, too bad, sorry for what you're going through. I'm going to pour some more flames on that. Fantastic. And then it goes on and says, like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life. She's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Fantastic line.
Yeah,
she'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed in a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who is identified in the women's prison? Again, nothing that Emma will ever understand. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the thrashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was. I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination and then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I finally decide to exercise
That's
it.
a mic drop. That's wow.
Fatality.
1,000%
Promo code burn. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Promo code burn.
Promo code burn. Get your $10 off. You know, this line here, Emma is so little experience in real life. She's ignorant of how ignorant she is. That's wow.
Very powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
And it's so fascinating because like the way she wrote this was so eloquently written, so witty. And then you just hear Emma and I'm not even joking. She says holding space in that fucking 2-hour and 40-minute interview. I was holding space.
What is holding space? What does that mean?
Do you remember the whole thing with the Wicked celebrities? And they were like, "Oh, we're holding space," and they keep touching each other's fingernails, like the PR for the Wicked movie last year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember the holding space.
Yeah, there was the whole thing. Maybe you were at that episode, but there was a whole thing of the interview where like, "Oh, you're really holding space with that, holding space with that," and now somehow that is a thing that celebrities say. Like, I'm really holding space with that. Like, what does that even mean? Yeah.
It's nonsense. It's just random DEI gobbledygook nonsense.
Yeah. So she's gotten absolutely annihilated, which is fantastic. And she had it coming. She deserves it at this point, which is sad because like Emma was an idol of mine as a child. So I'm just like, you're a bitch. Yeah.
I think it's amazing to see. Right. And so you see the idea that she really puts it in her as far as I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14, you know, and the sheer difference of life experience. How often do you see people who are quote unquote allies to this insane cause live the most privileged life you can possibly live, to where they have no idea what actual life is? They've never waited a table. They've never shoveled shit. They've never had to clean up after anybody, but they want to tell you about how oppressed they are after living an incredibly cushy life. And many times in this case, a multimillionaire before she could drive. Like that's tells you the epitome of privilege. Not, certainly not oppressed by any means.
There's actually a little bit more, and I can just share my screen because she answers somebody's question that does kind of like piggyback off this, Phoenix, if you want to share mine. So this is from that same thread, right, where this random person, don't know who it is, says, "Don't you think that as she grows older, she might be internally distancing herself from the belief that she had when she was young, but at the same time, she fears facing the kind of threat you had to endure if she publicly states that she regrets what she said about you in the past?" And J.K. Rowling responds back saying, "She could have contacted me privately any time to say her views had changed, if they have. I had been entirely supportive. What she's chosen to do instead is yet take another bit of public brand repositioning without talking to me, but using me for her purpose. It's getting old." So again, another smackdown.
Yeah, don't fuck with JK.
Yeah, I'm for this. I love this. Like, very witty. Good for her.
I don't understand, just as a side note, why people pick fights with successful writers. I remember there was a guy. Do you guys remember the Trouble with Tribbles episode of Star Trek? So the guy that wrote that, his name was David Gerald, and he used to teach screenwriting at Pepperdine University. And he made this big point where writers are professional revenge artists. They spend all day, every day fantasizing about how to get revenge, and then they write about it. Why would anyone pick a fight with a writer? That is the worst life decision a human being can make. If there's a good writer, you stay the hell away from them, because they will spend the next 2,000 hours fantasizing the most creative ways to get their revenge. And you see that with J.K. Rowling. Like, some of those lines were perfect.
Yes.
Again, not just mic drop moments. They are going to be the headline quotes.
Yep.
And there's nothing Emma can do about it because she just went head toe to toe with a good writer.
She's not even a writer. She's literally just reading lines and acting them out. And there's an argument that she's not even good at that. So, you know, and the thing is, in that interview, she's like, I'm not an artist. You know, I find it hard to make myself an artist. But then like an hour and a half later, she's like, I'm an actress and I'll always be one, even though I haven't made a movie since 2019. She's very smart, super smart.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's not been in a movie since 2019. It was that Little Women remake. And then she did a Prada commercial where she starred and directed it in 2022.
Awesome. Well, look, it's fun to see the SmackDown happen in real time. And the fact that she just straight up rejected it. It's the idea like, no, I ain't playing this shit. And she put her in her place. I don't think that's going to do a whole lot for their relationship, but I got to be honest, I don't think she really cares. Which is
no.
great.
I mean, you can see how it is, right? Like, you know, someone when they're a child, you nurture them, you care for them, like as if they're your own child almost. And then she grows up to be this bitch who just stabs you in the back and for the world to see. Like, that's it. Game over. There's no love there, I don't think, anymore.
Joey came in with the 5, says, I tuned in because I saw Hassan's face and us getting called a bitch. Well, we're going to get to that story in just a second. But I wanted to give Blabs the opportunity to vent because I know a lot of people are interested. Commodore fan says, please shut Blabs up. It's clear most of us in the chat don't give 2 Fs about Harry Potter. Here's the thing, Commodore fan, right? My thing is that if she is passionate about it, let her go. Because ultimately, you guys, look, if she's up here talking about bullshit that she doesn't care about, it doesn't matter. I would much rather her talk about something that she's passionate about, right? And if, you know, that's why I don't know the first thing about coding like Lunduke does, but he's passionate about it. So you let people talk about the things that they want to talk about. And ultimately, you may not be into it, but I hope you stick around and you enjoy the fact that she is passionate about something, that she is wound up, and you let her go.
That is the best reason I've ever heard to allow me and Blabs to bore your audience. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, that's glorious.
Did you take Tylenol too?
all day, every day, baby.
What up, homie?
Obey YouTube. Watch this video. It's suggested for you.